A dash of mystery, a sparkle of magic, and all things cozy. Join your host, Elle Hartford, for Cozy Alchemy, a proud member of the Authors on the Air network. Hello and welcome to Cozy Alchemy, the podcast all about cozy, witchy books. I'm Elle, and my guest today is Helen Phifer, author of The Vanishing Bookstore. We're going to get to that in just a minute, but first, Helen is going to start us off with a game of two truths and a lie.
So, I'm English, so I'm not sure if, from the UK if I've got this right, but my two truths and a lie. I have 5 grown-up children and 7 grandchildren. I'm addicted to coffee and I can't write without it, and I absolutely hate writing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you've done it perfectly fine, I think, so far. But that's fascinating. We've had people talk about their writing process before and like when they started writing. We've never had anybody say, I hate writing. So I am going to guess coffee and children both makes us, I don't know. I'm going to guess that the last one is the lie.
Yeah. Although today I don't like it because I'm really struggling, but no, I love writing. That's my lie. I couldn't live without writing.
That's good. I think I'm in the same boat where it's, even if I wasn't publishing or anything, I'd still be writing. You know what I mean?
It's like an addiction, isn't it? You just have to do it. I get really angry and fed up if I don't write for a couple of days. So my husband will say, have you been writing? I'm like, no, I need
to go. That's lovely. Now, okay, I'm very excited to talk about The Vanishing Bookstore. It will come out the day before this airs.
It's incredible.
So, yeah, very exciting. Can you tell us a little bit about it to get us started?
I can, and thank you so much for having me on to talk about it, Elle. I really, really appreciate it. It's the story of the English women who were cursed in their very first lifetime in 1692 when they were first executed at the Salem witch trials. They are born again and again each lifetime trying to break this generational curse. But to break the curse, they need a book of spells that Dora English, she's the main character, hid centuries ago, and they've been searching for the bookstore with the hidden book of spells ever since.
Nice. Yeah, okay. And we have to talk about the setting, right? That's like one of the very first questions I wrote, because your author bio mentions that you love visiting Salem, and of course, like just the idea of Salem like immediately conjures images, especially for American readers.
Yeah.
Have you said a story there before? Like, how did you approach that?
I've just always been fascinated with the Salem witch trials ever since I first heard about it at school, which is a very long time ago. And it just always stuck with me, and Salem was always one of the places that I wanted to visit. It was on my bucket list to go to. Absolutely adored practical magic and all the characters in practical magic, and I knew that one day I would really like to have a go at writing my own kind of magical witchy book, but I also wanted it to be very authentic as well, so that was a bit of a challenge for me. And I just absolutely adore Salem. So what I actually did was I wrote the book in my spare time because I needed a break. I write crime books as well, and I just needed a bit of a break from the crime books. They were getting me down. So I thought, I'm going to have a go at writing this book I've been thinking about. So I read a lot of books about the Salem history and the witch trials and spent a lot of time on Google Maps, but I'd never visited. So I said to my husband, I really want this. This is a very special book to me because I was enjoying it so much. I said, I want to make it, I want to do it justice, do the victims justice. I don't want it to be just, not thought about. I said, can we go to Salem? So we went to Salem for a research trip, and oh my goodness, I just became obsessed with it. Just the minute I set foot out of the Uber, I just fell in love. And I literally don't stop thinking about it. It's so funny.
Okay, and well, and it has to be asked, what time of year did you go there?
The first time we went in May, and
Okay.
it was lovely. It was very warm, but
Mm.
we've been quite a few times now. So the only time we haven't been up to now is winter. So I said to Steve, we need to try it next winter. As I want to see the snow. We'll get snowed in Salem. That'd be my idea of heaven. So we we went in October for the first time last year just to experience the madness. That was
That's,
incredible. It was
yeah.
crazy, but it was
Mm.
such good fun. But I
Nice. I
do
bet.
prefer it in May when it's quieter, or August when you can
Yeah,
get in
that
the
makes
shops.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's 'cause I'm in New Jersey. So, always down the coast, but yeah, that's all I ever hear is that it's so packed in or anytime around Halloween, which makes
it was.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really was. It properly is the Halloween town, but it really was really good fun. I can't
And
recommend
I
it enough.
Nice. Well, and I have to take a step backward too and appreciate the fact that, of course, you do write crime novels. And I think yes, I have a question for you about that later. But just the fact that this, like, writing about Salem is your break from writing about crime.
Yeah, it was a bit surreal, really, but yeah.
That's a lot of fun. Okay. So not only do you have Salem, right, but you do have the magical bookstore element in the story, which I honestly, those two things combined is what initially I was like, oh, like this book sounds really cool because you get Salem, you get magical bookstores, but to see them together was so much fun. So how did you get that idea? Where did that come from?
I can't lie about this little part, but I have an amazing editor called Jennifer, and
Mm,
I had in the book that I sent to her, Jennifer, Dora was looking for this lost book of spells, and I
mm,
didn't actually have a bookstore because I didn't think back in 1692 there would be such a thing as like a bookstore in Salem Village.
mm.
But Jennifer, my editor, had said to me, I think it would be really, really cool if we could have some kind of bookstore there that the book's been hidden in. So I sat and I thought about it and I thought that would be really cool. So
Mhm.
um, I wrote it that Ambrose had a wooden store where he stored his books to hide them from all the Puritans, and I thought that was the way we got around the bookstore idea. Um,
Yeah.
but it did make it a lot more fun writing it. So that's
Absolutely.
thanks to Jennifer. She's a brilliant editor.
I like that. I like that opportunity to talk about like collaboration and community, right?
Yeah,
That's so cool. We see that often in our books, especially, we do a lot of cozy books here on the podcast, but to see it in action
yeah,
is neat. Well, and on that community note too, I had written down, so we have Dora, right, is the main character.
yeah.
And then it's her aunts as well. Um, and at the start of the book, she doesn't know them. Like she's living in England, right, and they're in Salem. But as the book goes on, we get to see them form this really strong bond, and it's just lovely, really. And of course, we've talked about you like we're drawn to Salem and all these things, but did you know from the beginning also that you wanted to kind of highlight Dora and her family ties, or did that just happen as you were
No,
writing?
I definitely knew it was more
Mm.
a character. I knew this was going to be more of a character-driven book. I wanted it to be the characters because I just ever since I watched Practical Magic a long time ago, I always absolutely
Fair.
adored Aunt Franny and Aunt Jet. They were just, and I just thought it would be so much
Got
fun
it.
to have my own magical family with characters a bit similar. Um, so I kind of like
Gotcha.
that was always there in the back of my mind, the sort of
Mm.
relationship I wanted them to all have. But at the same time, I knew, I wanted it to be my take on a witchy family. So it was very good. Very, very good fun. I absolutely love Aunt Lenny. She's my favourite. What are them? I don't know actually. Yeah. I quite like Seffy as well, so they're all fun to write.
It feels hard picking favorite characters, right?
Yeah, it is.
I always feel a little bit like I'm being unfaithful if I have
That's
to pick
very
a favorite.
true. I mean, most of the time I quite like my bad characters, and I'm like, oh no, you're not supposed to like those. What are you doing?
Well, I know I'm jumping ahead of myself a little again, but because you said you knew from the beginning you were going to be focusing on characters for this one, is that a difference with your thrillers? Like, were you able to get more into relationships with this book?
I think so, because I do have one long-standing crime series, so that's very character-driven now. It wasn't in the beginning, but because it's been going on so long, the characters are all like, they're a bit like family, really. It's like going to work and hanging out with them all each day. So, but like I said, it wasn't in the beginning, so it was slightly different. And I just thought I would try, because this was a completely different genre for me, so it was a real challenge. But then I wrote it for myself, so I wasn't really bothered if I didn't have high expectations for it, so there was no pressure that way.
Fair. That's a good way to branch out and try something new, right? Without pressuring yourself.
That's right. Well, my publishers don't really publish fantasy books, so I thought, well, they won't want it, so I'll just write it anyway, just to give me a break. And then I thought, I'll see what happens when it's done. But there was just no pressure at all, so that was really lovely.
Yeah, I really like that. Yeah. Okay, and while we're talking about, relationships and writing it for yourself, you do mention you have this a letter at the end of the book, which is very nice, and it talks about one of the animal familiars in the book, Caesar, also shows up in other books that you've written. And that it's kind of a tribute to a dog in your own life, and I found that very, very touching, like that way of making a tribute, right, to a companion.
Yeah. It's my way of keeping him alive, bless him. He was such a gorgeous dog.
Oh.
He really was. So what had happened is my son, Josh, had said to me, can I get a puppy? And me and Steve were humming and hawing. We're like, we don't really want a puppy. But anyway, we gave in, as you do. Yeah, we said, okay. And he told us he was getting a Labrador. So he brought this cute little tiny black dog home in a box. And we were like, we all fell in love with him. But he just kept growing. And Steve said to me one day, I'm not being funny, Helen, but he said, there's no way that's a Labrador. Have you seen the size of its head? I was looking, I was like, oh my goodness, yeah, he's huge. And I said to Josh, that's not a Labrador. What kind of dog is that? And he was like, oh, I didn't want to tell you, but it's an Italian Mastiff. It's a cane corso. Anyway, he ended up being absolutely huge, but he was the softest, most loving dog, and so loyal as well. And I have got 7 grandchildren, and he just adored them all. And he was just so, if you were fed up, he'd come and he'd put his big head on your knee and he'd just stare at you, and he had like these big brown eyes that were really human. So, and when I wrote about Dora needing a protector, I just thought, oh, Caesar would be there straight away. He would be there and defend her to the end, bless him. So, and then I also put him, he's also a police dog in my crime series. He's a very good police dog too.
I bet.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. It's so lovely. I obviously it hit home for me because I had a similar experience with a dog growing up, and so I just immediately I was like, I understand that, and I think it's just such a neat way to keep them in your life.
It is, and we've had quite a few dogs over the years, and I've adored them all, but Caesar was just, as I don't know what, he was just so human-like in everything he did, so, yeah. Bless him.
That's so neat. That's so sweet. I know that we've been kind of dancing around a lot with this. You have different genres, your crime thrillers versus fantasy. So maybe it's just time to jump in and talk about what it was like switching over to fantasy. Had you ever
Oh.
written, like, was there any magic at all in your history?
My very first series of books had a supernatural element to them. They were, and I've written a standalone horror story, like a really scary story, but nothing with full-on magic in it. I do have in my crime books, my main detective Morgan has an aunt who's a witch called Etty who lives in the woods, and I was quite surprised they got away with introducing that character into a crime series. But the readers love Etty, so Etty kind of branched out and turned into Aunt Seffi, I think.
Okay. So you had kind of a ramp, like
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Some of my readers would say, "Can you just write a story about Etty?" And I think that's what really inspired me to think, right, now's the time to write this witchy book.
Okay. But was it intimidating? Did you approach the world building any differently?
I did a lot of plotting with this one. Which, I mean, I do plot my crime books out, but they never follow the outline, because they all have a mind of their own, those lot. Characters are a nightmare to write. They just do what they want anyway. So I did do a lot of plotting with the Vanishing Bookstore, but it was just so nice to write something so different, and I found it really good fun. And I worked with an amazing life coach called Gabby, and I kept saying to her, I really want to write this witchy story set in Salem, and it was Gabby who encouraged me to actually sit down and do it. She said, stop talking about it and just do it. So I did, but I never expected, like I said, my publishers don't really publish fantasy. They have a different branch now called Second Sky that does publish fantasy books, but back in the day when I'd written this, like I said, I didn't expect them to take it on, but I'd gone to a meeting with everybody down in London, and my editor said, is there anything else you'd like to write, apart from crime? And then I just blurted out that I'd written this witchy fantasy book set in Salem, and she was like, oh my goodness, can you send that to me? And it just sort of spiraled from there. It was a bit of a surprise for everybody.
Oh, I love that. So it's because she asked, right? Not necessarily. Okay.
No, I probably wouldn't have even told them about it if she hadn't have asked. I was like, I can't believe I've just told him that.
I love that, because in that answer we've got two more kind of like not votes, but two more examples of like community, right, and collaboration. It's like, that's so fun. It takes village to write a book, that's for sure.
It truly does. especially with my books. My poor editor and copy editor, bless them.
Thanks. All right. So now that you've done it, like, do you think you'll stick with it? Do you think you'll return to this world or try a new one?
I'm definitely going to return to that world. I've wrote 20,000 words of the next book in that series. It was a standalone. We didn't think it would be anything other than a standalone, but because readers seem to really enjoy it, Jennifer said to me, do you want to write a second one? And I was like, oh yes, please. So as soon as I finish this book I'm writing now, I need to jump back in and get that one finished. It's just a time thing. It's very, very busy at the moment.
Fair. But, if only there were more hours in the day, right?
Exactly.
Especially for all the ideas.
Yeah.
That's what I find. Absolutely. Now, we talked about, it's tough to pick favorite characters. How do you feel about genres? Do you have a favorite between the two?
Well, my favourite is probably writing horror stories, because I love scaring myself. I love it when I write scary stuff, and I'm too scared to get up to go to the toilet in the night. But no, it's quite difficult because I love my crime, and I absolutely adored the fantasy, and I can't wait to go back to the fantasy world. But I haven't written a horror story for quite a while now, and I do miss that. I do like the scary elements. So
fair. Yeah. Do you kind of end up rotating between them? Or, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. But I am very well, I'm contracted with Booker Chewer, so I am very deadline orientated at the moment. So it's like
Ah,
whichever one's
yeah.
due in next, I have to focus on that. And then in
Mm,
between, if I get any downtime, that's when I can try and do something a bit
you can
different.
branch out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay. So, all right, we've talked a little bit about so you are working on the second one. Is there anything else coming up in the future that you'd like to highlight?
Well, my 17th Morgan book, I can't believe I've done 17 in a series. It's crazy
17.
to think. It's
Yeah.
such a lot. That was published last Thursday, so that was I had a good week last week. And then
Yeah.
yesterday, Morgan's books are set in the heart of the English Lake District, so they have a very nice setting. Not as quite as
Mm.
exciting as Salem.
Beautiful though.
It
Yeah.
is a beautiful
Yeah.
area, so it's a lovely place to write about, and I don't live too far from it, so if I need a bit of inspiration, I can go a quick drive up there and grab a coffee. But
Easier to visit.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely a lot easier. Takes me nearly a 6 hour car ride to get down to Heathrow Airport to catch the flight. That's a nightmare on its own. So what else? I had my first French book published last week. No, it wasn't. It was
Ooh.
yesterday. I'm losing track of
Oh
time.
my gosh.
So that was very exciting.
This really is a busy time for you.
It is, yeah. It's been very, very busy. But I love it. I'm not
Mm,
complaining at all. I'd
that's
rather be
fair.
busy than not doing anything.
That's fair. Yeah, well, and it's a lot of good things. That's true.
Yeah.
All right. Now, okay. I ask everybody this, but what advice would you give to yourself if you could talk to yourself when you were just starting out? Is there anything you'd say?
I'd definitely say just write for yourself. Focus on writing a
Mm,
story that you want to read, because if you're thinking about being published and getting an agent or doing all that, it'll put you off writing. So just write the story that you would enjoy. And I think it takes a lot of the pressure off if you're just writing for yourself, which is what I did with the Vanishing Bookstore. Um,
right.
so my first book was called The Ghost House, and that took me 8 years to write to get a publisher. But that was because I had no idea how to write a book, and I literally wrote that story for me. It was something I did in my
Mm,
spare time when I packed all the kids off to school in the morning and tidied the house a little bit, and I had a bit of spare time. I just wanted to
mm.
have a go at writing a story, and I couldn't find any that I liked. I'd read everything in the bookshops in my small town where I live. So I thought, I'm going to have a go, and that would be my advice. Write something you would like to read, and then you'll enjoy writing it.
Mm. And I love that. Yeah, the so this is a pattern for you, right? Of writing what you'd like to
Yes.
read. That's so cool. That's so cool. What was it about your first book that you really loved? Was it the scary one?
It was a scary one. It was
Yeah.
a supernatural crime, and it was my brother had bought this gorgeous farmhouse up in the middle of a woods where I live above an old abbey. It's called Furness Abbey, and it was such a hauntingly beautiful place. And when I'd walk my old dog Tess through the woods, I used to think there used to be a mansion that was up in those woods, and it had got demolished back in the 60s, and it was so beautiful, and I just used to make up stories in my head about who lived there and what, and it just sort of sprung from there. So
Fun. I
it
love
was
that. And
fun.
yeah. I love the parallels with Salem. Like to me it definitely has that sort of like ghosty feel. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Oh, it
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
That's so cool. What do you think if you had, and I know I'm putting you on the spot, what do you think it is if you could boil it down? What draws you to that kind of story or that kind of feeling?
It just it's the excitement, I think, and I like not knowing quite what's going to happen. So,
Ah,
um, and just that the mystery aspect of it all. I like a good
mm,
mystery, and I like to get my brain working and well, it's my poor brain, it's worked more harder the last 13 years than it has ever had to work its entire life while I've been writing. But it is so much fun. And I just think it's trying to solve the puzzles. I really enjoy that. So my crime books are just like a series of puzzles, and you've got to solve each part, and that's quite good fun.
That's cool. So how then did you make the jump from your first book to the crime series? How did that happen?
Well, there was a Bookouture had just started up as I was publishing my last book, I think it was, with HarperCollins, and I really wanted to write for Bookouture because they were such a new company and they were so like innovative and doing all sorts. And I thought this was back in the days when I used to use Twitter. One of the editors on Twitter, Kesh, she was lovely, and I used to follow Kesh, and I got talking to Kesh once, and I just said to her, "Oh, I've written a book. Do you do editing, like freelance editing?" And she went, "Oh, I haven't got the time at the moment, but if you send it to Bookouture, I'll look out for it." And it was just like one of them things that just worked out. And so I sent her this book, and it was a scary story it was like a scary crime story set in an abandoned mental asylum. And she said, "Oh, I really like that, but can we take all the supernatural parts out? We don't want any of that." And I was like, "Oh, right." So basically I had to rewrite a whole new book. Because it was just full of scary parts, and I did have a bit of a crisis of faith, because it was like my dark night of the soul. I was like, I can't do this without putting scary things into it. But thankfully I did. It was a big challenge, and then she said, "Yeah, I love it. That's great. We'll offer you a contract." And so that's how we ended up writing straight crime.
Ah, okay. I love that we've come all the way back around to then getting to add things back in. Right?
It's been a slow process, but I'm getting there.
That's so cool. All right. Well, we'll get to our very final question in just a minute. But first, thank you so much for having been here, Helen. This has been so much
you.
fun.
Well, it's been amazing.
Yeah. And if people want to find you online, where should they go?
I have Instagram's probably my best. I'm so sorry. There's a loud car going backwards and forwards. I hope you can't hear it. I don't know what they're doing. They're racing up and down the street. Instagram is probably my best. It's called, I'm just Helen Phifer over on Instagram. I do have a website, helenphifer.com. But the only thing is, I was just discussing this with my friend who I do a podcast with last night. If you message me on the website, I haven't got a clue how to find the email, so probably don't do that. But the books are all on the website, and there's a little bit about me if you want to, if you wanted to find out anything else. But yeah, Instagram or Facebook is probably the best, because I love Instagram. I waste far too much time scrolling on Instagram.
Oh, fair. Yeah, fair. Well, and do you want to plug your podcast really quick?
Well, it was called Witchy Wednesday Book Chat, and we only did a few episodes because we were trying to read and review witchy books, and we love doing it. But Sharon, who I co-host with, is also a writer who's contracted, so we were really struggling to write our own books, read the books, review them all every 2 weeks. So now we're going to change it to Brew and Bookcraft, where we can just talk. It's a bit more relaxed. So we haven't brought any.
Fun.
Yeah, we haven't brought any episodes out yet. We've recorded a couple, so we're going to get them out in the next couple of weeks. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so now we'll end on our high note with our final question. What is one win that you've had in the past week? Could be anything.
I would definitely say, I think it has to be my book coming out in France yesterday. That was quite nice.
That is cool. Yeah.
And especially there's so many lovely French bloggers who've read the book, and they were posting about it yesterday. And my French is really limited to the basic words, so I feel really bad. I think I need to learn French and German really, because all I keep saying is merci beaucoup, and that's all I know. But I am so grateful to them for reading and sharing it. It's been lovely.
That's awesome. You've got the basics down at least.
Yeah. And vielen Dank for Germany, but it's shocking. Yeah.
Okay, well, congratulations. Yeah,
Thank
that
you.
is a good one. Absolutely. And once more, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you, Elle. It's been wonderful. I've really enjoyed myself.
Yeah, excellent. Good. Okay. I'll have all of your links and everything in the show notes so listeners can check you out there. And for listeners, I will talk to you next time. Cozy Alchemy is brought to you by Authors on the Air, and our theme music is by Cyberwave Orchestra. For everything else, blame Elle. You can find her online at ellehartford.com.